Well, the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CETAG, says it will embark on an indefinite strike if at the beginning of the academic year in October, government does not negotiate the premium and book and research allowance of its members. President of CETAG, Prince Obenhima, says members remain the only category of teachers in the tertiary education fraternity who do not enjoy market premium. He joins me in the studio for a very quick conversation. Mr. Hima, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. How bad is the situation?
Really bad.
Such that you...
Really bad that since the passage of Act 847 that upgraded the then training colleges to colleges of education to full tertiary status, and for that matter removed us from the then GES arrangements to be placed under the National Council for Tertiary Education that supervises tertiary institutions in the country. All attempts to get government to extend market premium facility and book and research allowance to our members have failed. You look at the fact that when you go to the categorization of institutions in the books of the National Council for Tertiary Education, as well as the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, you would see that we have the traditional universities, we have the technical universities, we have the polytechnics, and we have the colleges. It's saddening to know that we remain the only teachers in there who are looked at in the face, the select retention premium that is given to pre-tertiary teachers in the country, and slap us with that every month. This unfairness, this injustice has happened from 2012 up to this time.
Between 2012 and this time, I know that there's been conversations between yourself, your organizations, and the government. What has been the outcome of these?
Promises upon promise. I remember our secretary then. The then minister put up a committee. They organized some meeting for us somewhere in East Legon, some hotel. Promises were made. They were going to engage us. That was the end. We pressed and pressed and pressed. That was never to be, till they went away with their troubles and this new government has come.
Okay.
So
what has the engagement been with this particular government too?
We have been having discussions with the Fair Wages and the Salaries Commission, and I must indicate that the commission has indicated its willingness to discuss with us. But this kind of indication should be backed by action. When you indicate to us that indeed you look in your books and we qualify, and that you will get back to us after a month for us to commence real negotiation. We go back. After a month, nothing happens. We write, and we don't get any official response. Then we are tempted to think history is repeating itself in terms of how the other government treated us, and that is how we are going to treat us. And
this is why you have decided to go on a strike. But let me find out this. Are the qualifications of the teachers on the tertiary teachers the same, the requirements for someone to be a tertiary teacher or lecturer, the same as that of colleges of education?
In our statutes and in the books, and as dictated by the National Council for Tertiary Education, in the colleges you need to have a second degree before you can teach over there. Okay. I can tell you that in the colleges, every tutor who is there qualifies to be there. Every teacher has. We have even some people who have gone ahead to do their PhDs. Some have reached terminal stages of the PhDs and are about finishing. The sad news is that as soon as people finish even with PhDs, where we expect them to be there for the system to benefit
they
from
move
there,
on
they move on to join the technical universities and the universities. So in doing this, it's not just for our selfish interest. We're looking at how we can sanitize the system to make sure that...
Yes, but looking at sanitizing the system also requires that we do the right things in terms of who merits, or which qualification merits what kind of remuneration, don't you think?
Sure.
Which comes back to the same question, whether or not all the teachers, you can say that all the teachers at the colleges of education level share the same qualification. Otherwise, then those at the tertiary would also raise concerns and say, well, we have gone through systems, you know, like you're saying, they've done the PhD, and after the PhD they move on. So someone will say, I have a PhD and I'm taking the same maybe remuneration with someone who doesn't have a PhD.
You see, when you even go to the universities, you can do your survey. I have some statistics that point to the fact that in Ghana, it is indeed University of Ghana, Legon, that has the highest number of PhDs. Okay. And that is even not up to 60%. That is when you put even together all those who are on retirement, the profs who are on retirement and have come back to serve on contract, you put together. So over there at the university, we have second degree holders and MPhil holders who are there teaching.
So there's no standard, there's no standardized system.
The standard is there.
Right, so because if there's a standard system that everybody knows that to be a university lecturer, you should have this qualification. To be a teacher or a tutor or a lecturer at the colleges of education, you should have this qualification. And by this qualification, this is what you get. That is what, then we wouldn't have this problem arising in the first place, don't you think?
I have indicated that it is the National Council for Tertiary Education that determines the standards, that determines what qualification you need to have before you can teach in a tertiary institution. Per what is stated in our books, teachers in the colleges are supposed to possess second degrees before they can teach over there.
Okay.
And I am a union leader. I am telling you that we have about 99.something%. We have just some few people who are yet to graduate. Almost all my members, I can assure you, you can do your check, have second degrees. And even in those cases, people who are doing other degrees, it's not like they don't have. They went and did second degrees that had no relationship with their earlier first degrees, so it's required that they had to go
something in
do other ones. Sure. So in terms of qualification,
so why don't you fight for a properly standardized system that will ensure that there isn't any question even about what teachers at the colleges of education get, so that you wouldn't even have to go on strike at all? I mean, why don't you fight for that, the streamlining of that system?
You see, it's not about standardizing. I've told you time without number. Look, we have books, operational documents, we have our statutes, we have our conditions of service codified. When you even go to the universities, they don't have those books. We have books in which all those things are properly enshrined. So in terms of organization, in terms of, what have you, we have.
You have.
We are where we are, not because there is a question of qualification, but we are where we are because somebody has decided to discriminate against us. And the laws of Ghana. Somebody? Well, our employers and people who are supposed to make sure things work. We are in the system. Our job is to teach. It is somebody's work to also ensure that people who are teaching are given the adequate remuneration.
Okay. So they have
to answer.
So the issues you have, your market premium, book research and book allowance that you're calling for. Some people have actually said that teachers, they hardly use the research and book allowance for what it's meant for.
That's what they think. I think that the two have to be separated. Book and research allowance. If we have people who have to, at that level, you need to publish before you can earn your promotion. That's a different thing. And if you also have to go to the lecture hall to teach, I teach English. Assuming I taught verbs last semester and I have to teach that same topic this semester, I'm not supposed to go in there and give the same stuff. If I go out there, people have contributed to knowledge, new information has come up, new research, what have you have come out. It's up to me every day to make sure that I get the latest information, to give to my students. You have to buy modem. You have to register with other websites where you get materials to read it. All those things are money.
Okay.
So it's people. You need to be there before you understand how it works. It's not true. People think they use the money to buy cars.
Because I've spoken to teachers and I have friends who have spoken to teachers who say, hey, the research and book allowance here, they try they so many of them say. I mean, this is when they are really being frank with you and telling you. This
is tantamount to telling, with all due respect, a hard-working journalist like you, that the money given you, you use it to buy postcards.
That's not the point. The point that I made...
It's your choice.
Okay, so hold on. So the point I'm making is that we've heard teachers speak like that. You say it's a perception.
Yeah, perception.
And I'm saying that we've heard teachers speak like that. We've heard teachers speak like that. Nonetheless, let's look at the roadmap for this strike. What is it on the table?
Well, we raised 3 key issues. We talked about the market premium issue, and we have said that we're looking forward to government opening discussions with us, and then we concluding and implementing same before we reopen in October, other than which we have said we embark on the longest strike action Ghana has ever seen.
Okay, so October, that's
October when the semester begins.
Okay, that's when you intend to
go. That's when the
has
semester has to begin. So if around that time these things we've talked about have not been met, Trust me, we've gone round, we've sensitized our members. They are ready to stay home up to such a time that all those things will be extended.
So October, which date?
We know the semester begins in October, first week in October.
First week in October, you go on strike and you won't go back.
Oh, we're not saying we'll go on strike.
Okay.
We said if. It's a conditional thing.
Yes, yes. I mean, so, if you don't hear from government.
I know we have listening government. We have people who employed us and they listen to us. So who knows? Maybe after tomorrow they will call us. We discuss and we come to that agreement.
If they don't call you, in the unlikely events they don't call you, you're looking to go on strike in October, and after October, if after a whole month they still don't listen to you, you'll still stay at home.
We are not there when we get there, but we are saying that we have done all that we need to do before getting to this point. Okay. And if it triggers that we have to do it, we're prepared to go the longest, route that will lead to us having what we want.
I hear you. Hopefully government will hear and respond quickly so you don't have to go on that industrial action. I've been speaking to Prince Obeyhima. He's president of CETAG, correct? Sure. President of CETAG there. You've risen through the ranks, it appears. The last time you weren't president, right? The last time you were on the show.
I felt your prayers. You prayed for me. I felt your prayers.
Congratulations. Congratulations. And please, hopefully you won't go on strike so that our students will be the ones on the suffering end. But thank you very much for coming to the studio.
Thank you too.